Hey, what's up everybody and welcome back to News Dose, and we continue to have a lot of noise with the Microsoft Activision Blizzard buyout. I know, there's really just been this rush of updates over the last couple of weeks, and that does kind of make sense as we are getting closer to some of the final decisions from these regulators. Well, one regulator that a lot of us are waiting to hear from is the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, because there is this belief that they could be the big indicator on what will happen going forward. If they approve the buyout, we could possibly, just maybe, see the CMA and the EU follow suit. Of course, that's all just a theory at the end of the day, but the FTC, they seem to have a lot on their plate right now. Over the last few weeks, there's been some reports going around that they're likely going to try to block the deal. We heard all about that. There's rumblings that they're searching for concessions. That's very likely, and so on and so forth. And well, things have gotten even more chaotic over the last 24 hours, as it appears that Microsoft has leaked out some information of their own to put pressure on the FTC. They also got a big public supporter that could actually help get things approved. And also on top of that, a new report points to trouble for the FTC and their leadership with Lena Khan. It's no secret that she might be in a little over her head and could be wasting people's time, and there might be some pushback on that as well. Like I said, there's a lot going on here, and I'll try to summarize all of this the best I can later on in the video and try to keep that as concise as possible. That way I don't take up too much of your all's time. As always, though, we do have plenty of other news to talk about as well, including some more Game Awards announcements, so definitely stay tuned for all of that. But you know what? Let's just go and jump right into things, starting off with some DLC updates. The first update being for the massively popular Elden Ring. Now, I know everybody's kind of hoping for that expansion, myself included. I absolutely love this game. Unfortunately, though, that's not what we're actually talking about here, but instead Bandai Namco revealed a free update that will go live tomorrow on December 7th. Instead, this is the much requested PvP Coliseum update where it allows players to duke it out in solo duels, free-for-alls, and even team battles. Now, this is actually a very welcome update, as there is quite a dedicated PvP community when it comes to the Soulsborne games. These games do tend to have a vibrant PvP community for years and years, as there's something truly genuinely special about the combat in these games. And after putting just so much effort into finding that perfect build, there's something quite satisfying taking that build online and then battling it out against live opponents. Of course, there's always going to be those specific builds that really excels in PvP, and people will search for the most OP setups that they possibly can find. There's definitely going to be those cries for balance updates and all of that, but if you are into PvP battles, this here is an awesome update. Of course, it's also free, so what's better than that? I am, however, just a little bit surprised by the timing of this announcement, though. I figured they would have maybe shown this off at the Game Awards alongside the highly rumored PvE expansion. I hope we still get that announcement there, but either way, at least we got something Elden Ring related here. Now, as for this other game, and this one's not quite as popular, though this is still an incredible game, being Vampire Survivors. They did just announce a DLC update that will go live on December 15th for an additional $2. And I am telling you, that is an absolute steal, as it includes 8 extra characters, 13 new weapons, 6 new music tracks, and to top it off, it's also getting the game's biggest stage yet. That's a lot of content for an affordable price, and that's kind of the thing about this game. You might not expect it when you first see this game, but this game is honestly outstanding. I was so impressed when I first played this game. It's got such a simple concept. You control the game by simply using your analog stick and then try to stay alive as long as you possibly can. Now, that might not sound all that enticing, but as you level up, you choose how your character evolves, and it is just so much fun to play. There's a reason that if you look on Steam, Vampire Survivors has overwhelmingly positive reviews. I'm just telling you right now, this game is absolutely incredible. It is so much fun to play. And now, to top everything off, it is getting even more content. Again, that will be on December 15th for both Xbox as well as PC. Do keep in mind that Vampire Survivors is also available on Xbox Game Pass, and I do highly encourage you to try it out yourself. You'll quickly understand exactly why fans are absolutely raving over this game, myself included. Alright, so let's just go and get to the Xbox stuff, though, and like I said before, I'm going to try to summarize this the best I possibly can, give you the lowdown and all that, as there does seem to be a lot brewing behind the scenes. So we'll Gonna go over this one by one, starting off with Microsoft leaking information to Bloomberg. Of course, over the last couple of weeks, there's been some rumblings that the FTC might seek concessions, or they could just flat out try to block the buyout entirely. Well, if that were to happen, and by the way, I do think that this situation is doubtful, but hypothetically, if it does come to that, Microsoft is letting it be known that they are willing to fight a legal battle if they have to. This was posted up by Bloomberg, where it says, in the event the FTC tries to block the case, Microsoft is gearing up to contest the decision in court, said the person, who was asked not to be identified, speaking about internal strategy. Bloomberg Intelligence antitrust analyst Jennifer Rye said it wouldn't surprise her if the FTC files a lawsuit seeking to block the deal, but noted that a court fight would be hard for enforcers to win, and Microsoft could prevail. Though a legal battle could stretch beyond the deal's end date, Microsoft has said it expects to close the transaction by June 30th. Now, we have actually talked about this specific situation, though, and I don't think that this really is in the best interest for anybody involved. As this very article says itself, it would be hard for the FTC to win, because, and we can kind of all see this by this point, they quite honestly don't have much of a case. Basically, what's happening here is that the FTC is trying to go against the law and push against these big tech companies just to try and make a point. That right there, though, is the problem. You can't punish a company just because they're big and successful. That's not against the law. The FTC, by law, still has to operate under specific rules and guidelines, and that's why it's believed that this could end up being another failed attempt by the FTC if they do indeed decide to go to court. They've already failed in court a few different times in recent years, including their lawsuit against Qualcomm, as well as their lawsuit against Altria and Illumina. Because of all of this, though, there does seem to be some questions about Lina Khan's leadership and her pursuit against these big tech companies. This was reported by the New York Post, where it says, a rift at the FTC stirs hope for Microsoft's $69 billion Activision merger. This article describes a split decision for the Activision buyout and says, at least one Democrat on the 4-member panel has recently taken a sympathetic view of the merger, according to a source close to the situation. That in turn could create a difficult path for FTC Chair Lina Khan, who according to insiders has eyed Microsoft's deal as a major target as she looks to burnish her credentials as a trust buster of big tech. It later on goes to say a Democratic defection would leave Khan with a 2-2 tie in any vote to clamp down on the merger, a result that would not only effectively okay the deal, but also throws Khan's authority over the agency into question. That accordingly is a vote that Khan isn't likely to risk, according to DC insiders. Lina would probably not put things in a position for that to take place, so instead of having that vote, she would make the motion to approve the settlement, said William, a former FTC chairman. The way out is to say, we got a great deal, and only got it because we've been awesome like that. Now, this is something else that we have discussed. This does seem to be the best direction that the FTC can take, where everybody kind of wins. Now, see, if they take this buyout to court, like we've already talked about, they're likely going to lose. I just don't see them having a case that can actually hold up in court, and I think that they know that. So Lina Khan's leadership will be in question if all of that does come to fruition, where they take it to court and they lose another legal battle. However, if they take Microsoft's concessions, because Microsoft wants to close this buyout sooner rather than later, Microsoft doesn't want to go to court, even though it sounds like they're confident if they have to, they'll win. But if Lina Khan does decide she wants to take these concessions, she can kind of spin this as a victory for the FTC. So in that situation, everybody kind of wins. Something else, though, that's going against the FTC that could play a part in the finalized decision is the FTC's concern with workers. Now, we all know that Activision Blizzard has had some problems in this area. This is well documented by this point. But Microsoft has not only vowed to fix these issues, but they've also gotten a major partner being the CWA, which is one of America's largest unions. Well, interestingly enough, the CWA is now publicly calling for the FTC to approve the acquisition. You can see here where they say, if FTC approves the Microsoft Activision merger with the labor agreement that we created to protect collective bargaining rights, it would send a game-changing message to corporations. Workers do have a seat at the table, and their concerns must be addressed. This is a strategical move that further puts pressure on the FTC because they say that they're concerned with workers. And with this news being out in the wild, there will be that public outcry that Microsoft has addressed this issue in a major way. So the FTC will likely have to take this into consideration. Like I said before, there's a lot happening right now behind the scenes, but I think with everything that we're currently hearing, Every bit of this is good news for Microsoft and the Activision Blizzard buyout. Yes, there's a lot of scrutiny and there's a lot of questions. I mean, there's definitely not a 100% guarantee, but the more we kind of hear about this, I do expect this buyout to go through. I imagine that there will be concessions, primarily surrounding Call of Duty, but as we are starting to see, those decisions, they're looming and they're coming quick. As always, though, go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell, and I'll continue to bring you these updates as soon as possible, and hopefully a concise and informative manner. Let's go and talk about the Game Awards, though, as 2 more potential announcements leaked out online. Yeah, it kind of seems like the entire showcase is leaking out by this point, if all of this does turn out to be true. I'm sure there'll be some surprises here as well, so don't worry about that too much. One of the leaks include a big Activision Blizzard game being Diablo IV. Yeah, that's pretty exciting, I'd have to say. But Tom Henderson on Insider Gaming claimed that Diablo IV will make an appearance at the Game Awards with a suspicion of a confirmed release date. However, Jez Corden quickly corroborated this rumor on Twitter as he responded by saying this: "The big announcements are early access to open beta with pre-orders. Also Collector's Edition, which has some kind of candle. Not sure 100% what that is. I wrote April 2023 for launch, but now I think that might have been a runway target launch window with an 8-week variance." So really there's a few takeaways from this post. One, which is the most exciting part here, is that it appears that Diablo 4 could potentially release in the first half of 2023. And this, I would say, immediately makes an already exciting early 2023 even more exciting than what it already is. Diablo is one of those premier RPGs with a massive fan following, but there's also the fact that Jez mentions an open beta. So you're likely going to get a chance to play this game much sooner than that official release. I mean, if you're a Diablo fan, I'd say that this is more of a reason to tune in for the Game Awards. That also goes for you Star Wars fans out there, or really just fans of Jedi Fallen Order. It is widely believed that Jedi Fallen Order is one of the best Star Wars games to date. Of course, we probably shouldn't be too surprised by that, considering Respawn Entertainment is the studio behind this game, but we do know a sequel is planned for the first half of 2023, being Jedi Survivor. Well, it looks like its release date has been further narrowed down, as Steam accidentally might have revealed its release date. On its Steam page, it did briefly show a March 15th release date. This was quickly taken down, but I mean, as we all kind of know, when you make a mistake on the internet, there's always going to be some type of proof of its existence. So of course, pictures were taken for proof, and this does include some additional details. Pre-order bonuses do seemingly include deluxe edition content. Now, I'm not going to post those pictures on the channel for obvious reasons. I, however, will leave a link in the description below, but it does include different cosmetics, such as a lightsaber and blaster set. You can also see what's included in the Deluxe Survivor Edition if you're interested in that as well. Either way, though, EA did confirm that Jedi Survivor will be at the Game Awards after all of this leaked out online, so do expect a full-blown reveal in just a few short days. I keep saying it, but the Game Awards actually does sound pretty good this year. As we talked about yesterday, Jeff Keighley, he's trying to streamline things a little bit more, and it does sound like there's some major beloved games that will be making an appearance there. Let's go take a look at the poll of the day, though, where I asked you all, if you're interested in a game, are you willing to pay that premium $70 price tag? And as you can see here, 32% of you said yes, while 63% of you said no, you'll wait for it to drop in price. Now, I'm actually a little surprised by the results here, and the reason I say that is because I feel like there might actually be a little bit of a disconnect here, because we've been seeing these $70 games for a couple years now, and there's not really been that major negative impact that maybe some people might lead you to believe that there would be. I'm going to use God of War Ragnarok as an example here, because this was a $70 game, and not only did this game have success, but it's actually the most successful, it's the fastest selling PlayStation first-party game ever made, with like 5 million plus units sold in a week's period. That's a $70 game, outpacing all of their previous releases, including Spider-Man, including The Last of Us Part 2, and so on and so forth. So I think with that in mind, there's a lot of people that are willing to pay that premium dollar price tag if they're really interested in the game. Of course, that's going to differ title to title. I'm going to actually use a few different examples here. Let's say something like the Callisto Protocol. That's a $70 game. I feel like people are going to be more willing to wait for that one to drop in price, because it's a new IP. There's not that huge attachment to it. So unless it reviews really, really well, I think a lot of people just can kind of be like, okay, I'll go ahead and wait for that one to drop in price. But then there's also these beloved IP out there. Let's say something like Zelda Tears of the Kingdom comes out and it's $70. I imagine people are just going to buy it anyways because they're super excited to play it. And that's what we kind of saw with God of War Ragnarok. It's this insanely popular IP, and despite it costing more, people were still willing to pay that premium price tag. So I really believe that it just kind of depends on the popularity of the game, how much hype is building around it and all that. But I mean, I do completely understand. There's a lot of people that's upset about this situation. I mean, anytime we have to pay more money for something, that's not an ideal situation for us as gamers. We would love for everything to be cheaper, but, you know, unfortunately, that's just not how everything played out. I said it yesterday, but I think when Sony jumped to that $70 price tag, I feel like everything was just kind of written in stone after that. All these different publishers were just kind of waiting to see how it played out. They had success with it, so now we're seeing other publishers jump on board as well, including Xbox being the most recent. And I think that will be the final nail to the coffin here. I believe from this point forward, AAA releases will more often than not be $70 from this point forward. I do understand where you're all coming from, though, and I think it's smart as well. I mean, I say it all the time, though, but I don't even know why I buy games day one, to be truthful with you. Everything seems to go on discount, especially around the holiday period. Sonic Frontiers, this is a game that released back in November 8th, and then like 2 weeks later, it's 50% off. And you see this type of stuff all the time. Callisto Protocol that just released, I'm willing to bet that within 6 months, we see that game go on discount. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when, not rather than if. So for all you that do wait out there, you all are definitely being smart. So, I mean, I completely understand where you're coming from. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode. But if you like the video, don't forget to hit the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.